Kia ora and welcome to this week's Flexi. Over the previous few weeks we've built on a number of ideas. The first idea we've looked at is worldview, and hopefully you're beginning to get an idea of what are some of the key ideas and aspects, driving forces, negotiables and non-negotiables of your worldview, and possibly how it interacts with others within a school secondary education context. Then last week we had a look at what it means to be human. We had the interesting mini article series of points by John Norsworthy, and hopefully they provoked you to think about the positives and negatives of his perspective, which is a biblical perspective, and thought about what your perspective of human beings is, and most importantly what your developing idea of students will be as a result of that, and therefore how your worldview will match, meet, reconcile, develop the idea of student that you have developed. This week we're going to have a look at possibly how that's done, and that is pedagogy. What is pedagogy, and what is the power of a personal pedagogy is the key focus for this week. Pedagogy, simply defined, is the art of teaching. So the first activity for this week is a tweet. This is a really cool activity you can do with a class. You don't need to know about Twitter, or you don't need to have Twitter to do so. All you need to know is that on Twitter you can produce tweets which are statements, and those statements can only be 140 characters long. So what you have to do on the forum is you have to create your own personal definition of the term pedagogy. What does it mean as an idea, as an action, is where I want you to come from, and I want you to do that in 140 characters. Really good activity for getting people to think and define quite a big idea into a small, sharp statement. The second activity for this week is to reread. What I want you to do is to go back and to skim and scan the samples and the Hebert articles on worldview. Don't reread them in depth, but just go over them and introduce yourself to the key ideas, and focus on connecting what you think pedagogy is to that concept of worldview. So what are the links between your worldview and your pedagogy? So how will pedagogy almost be a creation of, or a manifestation of, your worldview? Skim and scan. There's some instructions on that in one of the previous weeks. It's a really good way to look at long, detailed articles and pull the information that you need out quickly without having to read in deep detail and get brain freeze, fade, pain at the end of the day. Then what I want you to do is read the Van Brummen reading. It's quite a short reading on the importance of a personal pedagogy. Developing your own pedagogy. And while you're doing this, have a piece of paper next to it and make notes on anything that comes into your mind about what you discover or think about your personal pedagogy. What you might want to include, how you might want to act, some of the key ideas you begin to think of, because this will help in the forum. The big forum for this week, the main focus is the power of a personal pedagogy forum. Within this forum, what I'm going to get you to do is look at a couple of diagrams that I have created based around personal pedagogy, the New Zealand curriculum, and the student. It's kind of a flow diagram. I want you to have a look at that. I want you to answer the questions related to that on the forum, and join in the discussion with each other. Feel free to critique my perspective, my diagram, as much as you wish, because that's what this is all about. It's about you developing your perspective, and it's the same as last week. John definitely doesn't mind the critiques that are coming through. He really enjoyed reading those, and he will probably pop up at some time in Intensive 2 and maybe engage in some discussion with you around that. It's a real fun time. So this week I hope you're finding the Prezi presentations as well informative of the steps that you have to do, but by the end of this week you'll have done these things. You'll have tweeted your simple definition of pedagogy. You know, what is it as an idea and an action? 2, you'll have reflected on what comparisons there are between the concept of worldview, your interpretation of worldview, and its linkages to pedagogy, using the samples and Hebert readings as your springboard. You then will have reflected and written about your perception on the power of personal pedagogy, and the diagrams will be there to help with that, and also the Van Brumlem article will be there to help introduce those ideas as well, to make you think. So you'll have posted comments and forum discussions also on at least 2 other people's forums. You don't have to post something on everybody's, but it's good to get engaged in at least 1 or 2 discussions that are of interest to you. Don't hesitate to get in touch if you have any questions. I look forward to seeing your responses, and have an awesome week. I hope that things aren't too dry in your region at the moment and you have enough water to drink. Okay, bye.